It was supposed to be a coronation, a perfect weekend for McLaren, a 1-2 on the grid, raw pace in their hands, the championship in touching distance. And yet, just one decision on lap 7, one wrong call. And now, McLaren finds itself staring down the barrel of catastrophe. The papaya dream turned into a pit wall nightmare. As the lights faded in Qatar, Oscar Piastri had everything under control. Fastest all weekend, leading the race ahead of Max Verstappen, ahead of teammate Lando Norris. The car was dialed in, the tyres were healthy, the championship table was smiling. But then came the crash. Nico Hülkenberg's Sauber tangled with Pierre Gasly's Alpine. A wheel lock, a spin, a puff of dust. The safety car was called. Every strategist in the paddock knew what that meant. Lap 7 was the first lap when drivers could pit without getting screwed by the 25-lap tyre stint rule. For the rest of the grid, it was obvious. Pit. Now. And they all did. All except 2. The McLarens stayed out. While 17 cars ducked into the pit lane like synchronized swimmers, McLaren, frozen, watched it all unfold. Piastri leading, Norris behind. But on old tyres. Everyone else? Fresh rubber, free stop under the safety car, track position protected. Max Verstappen didn't hesitate. Nor did Ferrari, nor Mercedes, nor Williams. It was irresistible, except to McLaren. Why? That answer, depending on who you ask, is even more confusing than the decision itself. It was a decision, team principal Andrea Stella said afterward. In fairness, we didn't expect everyone else to pit. Obviously, when everyone else behind you pits, then it makes pitting definitely the right thing to do. In other words, they didn't see it coming, but everyone else did, and Verstappen made them pay. When McLaren finally pitted both drivers nearly 20 laps later, the damage was done. Verstappen had already taken control. The Red Bull man, who was running slower than Piastri before the stops, suddenly had track position, fresh tyres, and a clear path to glory. Piastri was left chasing shadows. He rejoined 15 seconds behind Verstappen. Told on the radio that he'd need to be a full second per lap faster to close the gap, his answer was chillingly dry. Wow, nice. He pushed, hard. But Verstappen, calm, composed, untouched, was cruising. Piastri couldn't close the gap, not even close. The younger tyres weren't enough. The dirty air, the lost rhythm, it all mounted up. In the end, the Australian crossed the line second, 8.2 seconds adrift of what should have been his most dominant win yet. After the race, the emotion poured out. Speechless, he told his engineer. And then, to the cameras. Think in hindsight, it's pretty obvious what we should have done. I drove the best race that I could, as fast as I could, and there was nothing left out there. It's been a really good weekend, but obviously a little bit tough to swallow at the moment. But it wasn't just Oscar who suffered. Lando Norris, who had looked set for at least a podium, ended up in a dogfight with Carlos Sainz and Mercedes rookie Kimi Antonelli after the second round of pit stops. And it wasn't a fair fight. Antonelli's car was slippery in a straight line. The Williams had mega traction. Even with DRS, Norris couldn't get through. Sainz tried his old Singapore DRS tactics to protect both of them, but Antonelli cracked. A last lap wobble into turn 10 let Norris sneak by into fourth. Small consolation. Piastri finished second, Norris fourth, Verstappen, the winner, again. And now, the title race is wide open. Verstappen, 12 points behind Norris, 4 ahead of Piastri, has stormed into real contention. The Abu Dhabi finale is now a 3-way showdown, but the McLaren garage is quiet. Too quiet. Zak Brown had said just weeks earlier, "I'd rather Max Verstappen win the title than favour Lando or Oscar." That quote now hangs over McLaren like a dark cloud. Equality, no team orders. But at what cost? Even Stella admitted, the misjudgment is something we will have to review internally. There can be some biases in the way that you think. Clearly, Oscar was in control of the race and deserved to win it. And we lost Lando the podium as well. Bias. paralysis, equality, words that sound noble until they lose you a title. And the irony? They didn't even lose because the car was slow. They lost because they believed the others wouldn't pit. They gambled that they were seeing something no one else did. But what they really saw was ghosts. And what if the ghosts they saw were from 2007? Another McLaren season, another three-way title fight. Back then, it was Hamilton, Alonso, and Raikkonen. Now it's Norris, Piastri, and Verstappen. But the nightmare remains the same. McLaren holding the cards and losing them all. McLaren hasn't won a driver's title in nearly 2 decades. And now, just one race from the end, they've handed Verstappen, who was outpaced all weekend, an open door to make it his. How did they get it so wrong? Stella offered his explanation again. The reason was we didn't want to end up in traffic after the pit stop. But obviously everyone pitted and made our staying out incorrect. Incorrect. A polite word for strategic collapse. The irony. The race could have gone even worse. Fernando Alonso, running 6th, deliberately slowed down in the middle stint to save his tyres. That created a crucial gap, the only window McLaren could drop into after their pit stops without losing more positions. Had Alonso pushed like normal, even Piastri might have come out buried in the pack. Instead of being hailed for a perfect weekend, Oscar was left stunned, drained, nearly broken. "Pretty painful," he said. "Probably hurts more than Vegas." That's saying something, because Vegas ended in a disqualification, but this one was different. This one, Oscar had in his hands. And it wasn't taken by luck, it was taken by his own team. Norris, meanwhile, was just as blunt. "I just want to go to bed," he told reporters. "No sugarcoating, no fire, just fatigue." It's hard to blame him. He's been in top form, wins in Mexico and Brazil, leading the championship. He earned that lead. But now, with one race to go, his margin is just 12 points over Verstappen. One slip, and it's over. "I try and beat them. They try and beat me. Nothing different," Lando said. Maybe trying to convince himself more than anyone else. But is everything different now? Because now, McLaren's dream of letting both drivers race freely might become a nightmare of indecision. They didn't pit because they didn't want to prioritize one over the other. Now they might lose both titles because of it. Verstappen's smirk said it all. "When I saw them not pit, I thought, that's an interesting move. It's all possible now." Even Red Bull can't believe their luck. And what's worse, McLaren may still refuse to change course. "We just want to always keep the options open for both drivers," Stella confirmed. "They both are in condition to win the championship." But are they? Because the points say otherwise. If Lando finishes 3rd in Abu Dhabi, he's champion, no matter what. But what if he's 4th? What if Piastri is ahead and Verstappen wins? What if that internal policy of equality gifts Red Bull the crown? History doesn't care about noble intentions. It only remembers winners. And make no mistake, Oscar Piastri knows he had this one. He said it himself. "I left nothing out there." He wasn't just fast. He was clinical, calm, ruthless. This was his race, and it slipped through his fingers because his team stayed frozen in a moment when everyone else acted. In the shadows of Qatar, a young man aged 10 years in the mirror of a helmet visor. Now, heading into Abu Dhabi, the paddock buzzes. Not with celebration, but with doubt. Can McLaren recover from a wound this deep? Can they rally the troops when both drivers are now wondering, quietly, behind closed doors, if their team is truly ready for this war? Because make no mistake, this is war. 3 men, 1 race, 1 title. The veteran, Verstappen, waiting like a shark. The quiet assassin, Piastri, betrayed but not broken. And the leader, Norris, calm on the outside, boiling underneath. No more safety cars to hide behind. No more strategic maybes. No more excuses. McLaren has 7 days to decide who they really are. Champions. Or a team haunted forever by what could have been. And as the sun sets over Yas Marina, one question lingers in the minds of fans everywhere. If McLaren had to choose again, would they still choose to stay out? Let us know what you think. Should McLaren back Norris? Should they let them fight to the end? Or has this Qatar collapse already written the ending? Drop your theories in the comments, because Abu Dhabi is coming and everything is on the line.